folks! Hello everyone!
Hi!
We are Oxventure and we're playing Lasers and Feelings once more at New York Comic Con's Metaverse. We're delighted to be back. We'll be doing a free session of Lasers and Feelings as an alternative to our usual Dungeons & Dragons, and then after that we'll be answering questions at a Q&A, special ticketed Q&A panel later that same day, which is Saturday the 10th of October. And that out of the way, we're here to share six of our most valuable lessons we've learned playing D&D. Andy, you've got a look in your eyes that tells me you're thinking of a valuable lesson right now.
Yes. So I'm Andy, and I, in the Oxventure space, I'll be playing Corazon de Estrella, the space pirate rogue. I play Corazon de Baena, the human pirate rogue in the Oxventure, and the thing I have learned playing Dungeons & Dragons is that a bad roll isn't necessarily a bad thing, which is kind of contrary to the way that most games you play work, in that if you roll badly, bad things happen and that's bad. But in Dungeons & Dragons, because it's a kind of collaborative storytelling process, every action kind of flows from another action. So if you roll badly, it means that you do something badly, but then the story will continue from that point. And it means that you have to sort of improvise, you have to think on your feet, you have to come up with creative solutions to things. And in many ways, I think that just doing something flawlessly, rolling a 20 and just like nailing it, is in no way as interesting as messing it up and then having to scramble to still do the thing you were trying to do, but in an unexpected and interesting way. So I think don't feel bad about rolling poorly. Feel excited about the plans you're going to have to come up with now to deal with the consequences of rolling poorly. I think that's a good way to look at rolling your dice in Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah, you learn more in defeat than you do in victory, basically.
Exactly.
Plus, a good GM will enjoy twisting the story around when you fail at something, and they're unlikely to make it an insta-fail and you know, everything's derailed at that point for you as a party, certainly.
And no one likes...
In light of it being collaborative storytelling, it wouldn't be much fun if you were watching a movie, say, and everyone succeeded at everything at all times, and then the movie was over 90 minutes later.
No one likes characters that are just brilliant at everything. There's nothing interesting there, really. Like when we were playing Dungeons & Dragons, and I attempted to flick my old hat off someone's head onto my own head, and ended up knocking it into the sea and lost it forever. I thought that's a lot funnier and better than if I just nailed that roll.
Hi, I'm Mike. I play Eggbot in the Oxventure in Space, who is a sort of modified version of my character Egbert, who I play in the Oxventure. And having played D&D for a bit now, 2 years or so, I would say the thing I've learnt is that actually combat doesn't just need to be your weapons and your spells. I think when we first started playing D&D, combat was definitely my least favourite part of it. I much more enjoyed the kind of talking and kind of planning stages. But then I realised that actually you can combine your weapons and spells and items in different ways, or just completely improvise. And I think that the time where it clicked for me was we were doing a live show at a festival called the Vaults Festival, and I realised that I had bombs and I had a mace, and why not use the mace as a kind of baseball bat to hit a bomb at range at an enemy. And that worked out brilliantly in the story, and was kind of more fun than just hitting things with the mace or throwing the bombs. And so now, when we get into combat, I'm doing my very best not to use any of my abilities or spells, which I'm sure is quite frustrating, but it keeps me entertained. So as long as I'm enjoying myself, it's fine.
I think my one is because Johnny, GM the Oxventure and also Oxventure in Space. Mine is applicable for both players and GMs, and it's to have a long memory. Which is to say that a lot of times in a campaign, especially if you're kind of travelling from place to place to place, you'll encounter somebody, an NPC or something, and you'll either leave them in a better or worse position than they were in when they first met you. And it's very easy for everyone around the table to be like, all right, well, that session's done. We probably won't ever see them again. But keeping hold of those characters and having them show up, whether to help or hinder, is just really fun because it makes people feel like they're living in a more connected world. But also can just be brilliant in terms of surprising people and going, do you remember that horrible thing you did to me? 2 years ago. Well, here it comes.
Oh no, consequences.
But also, so I mean, that's useful for a GM because callbacks make people feel clever, and it can be exciting to be like, and the curtain comes back, and do you remember this person? But in terms of a player, I think it's good to remember the things you've done, and the things that maybe didn't turn out as you thought they might do, because it kind of informs how your character feels about the world going forward. Like, for example, in D&D, you get into combat quite a lot, so it means that while you're ostensibly the heroes, you kill a lot of people, things, you disrupt a lot of communities. And I think it's good role-playing to kind of bear that in mind, and just... I love nothing more than a group of heroic adventurers who are like, this life is heavy, I have ended lives, and it doesn't have to be dour. It can just be well, here we go again. We're probably going to make someone's life immeasurably worse today. But it's nice to kind of build that texture and that sense of history among the party. That's what I reckon anyway. Because I know Luke is waiting for the day that I spring Katie Pearlhead on everyone. So,
He's biding her time.
She'll be easy to spot.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Ellen. I play Meryl Wen in our D&D, or Mer Ilwen in our Space Oxventures. I think one thing that I've learned a lot while playing is to not be scared of getting things wrong. I feel like playing D&D is not just like a game experience, it's a learning experience. Because like when I first started playing D&D, like you see this handbook and you're like, what? Do I need to know all of this? But it's really important that if you have, for any tabletop game, these things are guides and references, and like it's fine to stop and check things and don't worry, and it's all about experimentation as well. So like similar to Mike's point, try different things, try different approaches to stuff, and like your DM, if they're like cool and willing to roll with the punches a little bit like we have with Johnny, like you end up like just through experimenting and trying not to be like I don't know exactly how this works. Like try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, they'll let you know, and hopefully they won't punish you horribly for it. But like it's all about having fun, and like you learn more about your characters, you learn about other people's characters as you try different random things, rather than okay, we need to make sure that we stick to the rules as much as possible.
Hello, I'm Luke. I play Stardob MD, the medical officer on deck in the Oxventure in Space, which is a kind of spacey version of Dob, the half-orc bard in the Oxventure. My tip for D&D is to not be too super precious about your character, and to accept the fact that a lot of the things about your character are going to be determined not just by you, but also by the group and by what happens on your adventures. When I started playing D&D, I had a really, really clear, crystal sort of idea of what my character would be and what they were like, and their likes and dislikes. And basically, I had their whole personality mapped out, and I found it really sort of grating and irritating at first whenever sort of people would like say things or assume or like react as if my character, and I'd be like, no, that's not what they do, and you just have to lean into it. A good example, perhaps, is that a defining character of a characteristic of Dob is that he doesn't really think things through enough, and often accidentally will fire off an attack that has some of his colleagues in range. And that was absolutely not something that I wanted it to be a characteristic of his when I started, and when I came up with the character. But through one mistake,
One time. Followed you around.
Fairly large mistake.
Fairly large. It was fine. No one got hurt.
Nearly kill one person.
In front of
It's
a
all
live
you hear
audience
about.
of 160 people.
Well, exactly, and no one lets you forget it. But it wasn't just that no one let me forget it, it's that clearly everyone else that I was playing with really enjoyed this new emergent aspect of Dob's personality, and so, like, clearly it really stuck. And now, actually, I think that's one of my favourite things about Dob, is that sort of clumsiness and that sort of, like, willingness to charge in and not overthink. So, yeah, be willing to let a little bit of your character go, and let some of their characteristics be defined by others, painful as it is.
I'm Jane, I play Prudence, she's a tiefling warlock, and in Oxventure in Space I play Prudenzia, who is the security chief aboard our spaceship. I have been watching some early D&D sessions from us, and in the very early days we were a little shy about going full commitment on the role-playing, and it's not that we're the most role-playing group. I think we have a lot of fun with it, but what we didn't have in the early days was like the lack of self-consciousness to go full commitment into the, and I'm going to say this and I know how it's going to sound, into the characters, and I already feel bad, but not that bad.
Shut it down.
Because it's full commitment. You have a lot more fun, I think, if you can get over that self-consciousness, and I think that's something that's quite hard as adults, because you unlearn role-playing. It's been said before, but like role-playing is just something you do. That's how you play as a kid. As an adult, there are very few opportunities to role-play, if you like. And yeah, it takes a little bit of adjustment, but it's the way you'll have the most fun, I think, is letting yourself be either silly or be absorbed, like completely wrapped up. And it definitely takes practice, and it takes trust. I think you have to be around people who you are willing to go full commitment around, but if you can find that, then that's some of the most fun you'll have playing any kind of RPG, I think. That's it. Presumably that's all you need to know, really. I mean, there's some numbers as well, as I understand it. Some
Dice.
Oh, you'll need some dice. You need
some
one dice.
Oh, that's the real lesson that we've learned, is you'll need at least
Well, no, more
you
than
need
one.
several dice.
No, they sell you the whole set. You only need the 20. The rest
Yeah.
are just
Vanity.
Yeah.
if it's a D8 that you're asked to roll the
Right.
20
Yeah.
until
Roll the
it's
20.
8 or lower.
Roll the 20, and if you get anything over an 8, it doesn't count.
I
Yeah,
think we're
that's-
actually
you bet.
diminishing the sum total, the store of human knowledge about D&D now. We're actually
Well, there
poisoning.
you go.
I'm saving
Well,
people money.
indeed.
I'm trying
We're
to.
very well regarded.
Nearly 3 years.
Oh, one day.
These
Though.
incredible value tips.
Come on back to NYCC's Metaverse, and we'll be playing Lasers and Feelings as Oxventure, and then we'll be answering questions and a special ticketed Q&A. You can get those tickets through the link that will be in the description of this video. So we'll see you there. Bye.
Right?